guys, welcome to our YouTube channel, Plan Your Travel. Here we share our travel experiences and tips to help you make the most out of your adventures. In today's video, we're excited to present top 18 things to do in Paris in 2024. Paris is considered one of the most romantic cities in the world, or perhaps the most romantic city. It is such a special place to visit, and I have been there many times. Each trip was as fascinating as the previous one. So whether it's your first time or your second time or your third time, there's always something different to do. There are major attractions like the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame that you must visit. In addition, you have to travel a bit from the city to reach the Château de Versailles. Paris has a lot to offer everyone, so let's take a closer look at my favorite things to add to your Paris itinerary on your next visit. Stay till the end, because most tourists miss out on the best places we're about to reveal. Don't miss out on anything we've got you covered with the Ultimate France Travel Guide. Comment down below where you're watching this video from. We'll do our best to reply to as many comments as possible. Let's begin. Number 1. The Eiffel Tower. Rising in the center of Paris, the Eiffel Tower is the most recognizable landmark and the best place to get a panoramic view of the city, day and night. There are 2 levels that you can access via elevator. The second level offers visitors a view from 200 feet and a short walk to its observation level. However, the best scenario and your best bet is to make sure you buy tickets that take you to the 3rd level. The Eiffel Tower is one of the most crowded attractions in Paris, so be sure to buy skip-the-line tickets in advance to maximize your time. The Eiffel Tower is the most iconic monument in Paris. Built in the 1880s for the 1889 World's Fair, it was frowned upon when it was first built. Today, locals love it is a symbol of the city and one of the most recognized buildings in the world. At a height of 324 meters 1,062 feet, it offers the best views of the entire city. To beat the crowds, come here early in the morning. If you wait till evening, you will be waiting in line for hours. Number 2. Saint-Chapelle. On my second visit to Paris, Saint-Chapelle was one of my highlights. I had never heard of or seen it before, and walking into the chapel with no idea of what to expect was amazing. It was one of those wonderful moments that I will never forget, especially considering the exterior of the building gives no clue as to how spectacular the inside will be. As they say, don't judge a book by its cover. It's not always the best place to visit in Paris guides, but I can guarantee that it should be on everyone's list along with the Eiffel Tower. It is one of the finest churches in France and was built in the mid-13th century by Louis IX in the royal residence of the Palais de Tokyo. This historic site is a fine example of French Gothic architecture with intricately carved woodwork finished in gold. Number 3. Louvre Museum. The Louvre is the world's largest museum and the home of Western civilization, making it a top recommendation on any list. Licensed tour guides in Paris and the Louvre have studied over the years to pay tribute to the great artists, sculptors, and even warriors who have shaped our society. This is probably the number 1 thing to do in Paris, but since you already know you have to see it, keep it at the top of my list. That said, joining a guided tour of the Louvre should be the way you travel so you don't get overwhelmed. Small group tours are the best way to see the museum for the price, and you'll be glad you didn't try to tackle this massive museum on your own. Choose a date and time for your visit. You should know that the Louvre is closed on Tuesdays for museum hours and open later on Wednesdays and Fridays, and above all, buy Louvre tickets in advance because of the queue to enter. The box office can last for hours. Number 4. Palace of Versailles. The Palace of Versailles is undoubtedly one of the most visited attractions in Paris. Although revolutionaries may have deposed the last kings and queens of France, we're glad they survived this magnificent piece of architecture. Retrace the footsteps of historical figures like Marie Antoinette and admire the grandeur of the old royal palace. The beautiful chandeliers in the Hall of Mirrors reflect over 300 mirrors. When you visit the palace, be sure to visit the impressive Garden of Versailles. The meticulously landscaped gardens occupy an area of nearly 2,000 acres. Destinations like Versailles are full of history, gossip, and stories. Any excursion from Paris to the Palace of Versailles, it will take you almost the whole day, and you can go from the center of Paris to Versailles by train or hire an independent transport and a guided tour. Number 5. Musée d'Orsay. After the Louvre, this is the most visited museum in Paris, and for many people, their favorite. The Musée d'Orsay has works by Monet, Rodin, Cézanne, or Gauguin among its collections. It is distributed over several floors and its layout is perfect for touring. The long building, once a railway station, is impressive from the outside. However, the interior is truly amazing. Discover a large open space with an arched glass roof covering an incredible collection of artworks. Whether you like traditional art or the modern, you will find something to enjoy at the Musée d'Orsay. At the center of the Musée d'Orsay is a main gallery of statues and sculptures bathed in spectacular light. Different rooms are continuously distributed on its sides. Smaller crowds compared to the Louvre allow you to enjoy this tour at your leisure. Opening hours and tickets: Tuesday, Sunday 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tickets cost €16. If you are an art lover, you may also want to take a guided tour. Number 6. Sacre Coeur. The Sacre Coeur Basilica is located on the highest hill in Paris. Join the crowd on the steps and watch the sunset. You can also climb 300 steps for an even better view. Sometimes described as a village because of its winding streets and small town feel, Montmartre is a neighborhood located on a hill in Paris, northern part of the city. Visitors can climb its famous white staircase, ascend its domed capitol, and quietly enter the humble space beneath a vast mosaic ceiling. Make sure you visit the Sacre Coeur Basilica, an often overlooked religious monument. Number 7. Moulin Rouge. The Moulin Rouge is an unmissable Parisian experience. Moulin Rouge is a cabaret known as the spiritual birthplace of the famous French can-can. The can-can dance was born at the Moulin Rouge, but its main attraction is the Moulin Rouge's cabaret shows. The exhibits are considered family-friendly by Parisian standards, with a minimum age of 6 for entry and a dress code that excludes flip-flops or shorts. You've probably read stories about Bohemian Paris and the painters and artists who flocked to the city at the dawn of the 20th century. Today, the Moulin Rouge is a tourist attraction, entertaining visitors from all over the world. Number 8. Catacombs of Paris. The Catacombs of Paris are a fascinating but dangerous tourist attraction. They go on for miles no one really knows, and there are thousands of bones in endless winding tunnels. Hundreds of miles of tunnels indeed. The Catacombs of Paris may seem a little scary or rough, but they are a fascinating part of Paris history. Only a small portion of the subways are open, and there is tons of history and information about the growth of Paris. Catacombs are ancient quarries that were located outside the medieval city. There is always a long queue, so book your skip tickets online in advance and don't wait outside, and you will be able to see limited rooms that you are not allowed to see without a tour guide. However, if you want to go it alone, the catacombs also offer audio guides. Be careful because the humidity inside is quite cold. Number 9. Arc de Triomphe. Built in the 19th century, it is the largest monument of its kind in the world. Impressive sculptures adorn its pillars. In addition, the names and great achievements of 558 generals are engraved on the top of the arch. Under the Arc de Triomphe lies the tomb of the unknown soldier of France. The panoramic terrace above the door offers a beautiful view of Paris. At 50 meters high, 45 meters wide, and 22 meters deep, the Arc de Triomphe is located on the Place de l'Étoile, leading to the Champs-Élysées, nicknamed the most beautiful avenue in the world. It is located 1.9 km between the Place de la Concorde and the Arc de Triomphe. There are many luxury boutiques: Louis Vuitton, Cartier, Guerlain, Montblanc. Entertainment places Lido, cinemas, famous cafes, and restaurants Fouquet's. The line ticket, which is available through Get Your Guide. Download the Arc de Triomphe app before you go. This app gives you interesting facts about the Arc de Triomphe and helps you identify the buildings you see from the terrace. Number 10. Luxembourg Gardens. Paris is a city of large green spaces, and one of the best kept and most visited is the Luxembourg Gardens, south of the Seine River. A city staple since the 17th century, the Luxembourg Gardens offer a peaceful respite from the hustle and bustle of Paris. This beautiful public space features colorful flower gardens, beautiful sculptures, beautiful lawns, sculpted trees, and sprinkled benches for guests to relax. This tranquil spot is popular in spring and summer when the weather is good and the flowers are blooming. This is a great place to take a break from the hustle and bustle of Paris. The Luxembourg Gardens are open to the public 24 hours a day. The Luxembourg Gardens provide the perfect atmosphere for an afternoon picnic, reading or socializing with friends and family. You can rent a small boat and remote control to use in the pool, play basketball or tennis, or engage in a challenging game of chess with others. On selected days of the week, the Théâtre du Luxembourg offers free puppet shows for children in the park. Number 11. Canal Saint-Martin. Next on my list of Paris highlights is Canal Saint-Martin. Built between 1805 and 1825 during Napoleon's time, it was originally intended to bring drinking water and merchandise to the imperial capital. Since the late 19th century, it has housed factories and industrial warehouses. That's all changed now. Many of those factories have become lofts for Paris's ever-growing bohemian bourgeois population, and dozens of bars, restaurants, and shops line its waterfront. Its sturdy iron footpaths and picturesque locks are favorite spots for weekend picnics and hikes, especially on Sundays and public holidays when cars are banned and the paths are reserved exclusively for walkers and cyclists. Number 12. Palais Garnier. Trips to the theater don't get much more glamorous than an evening spent at the Palais Garnier. Located on the Place de l'Opéra, this opulent and then some theater oozes luxury. We come here to see the Paris Opera Ballet, but to be honest, the building itself is almost as much of an attraction as the dancers on stage. Peruse the insane array of mirrors, marble, velvet, and satin, and positively swoon on the grand escalier. Unless there is a matinee performance, the Palais Garnier is open to the public most days. It is best to check the schedule ahead of time and book tickets online. Number 13. Parc des Buttes-Chaumont. Parc des Buttes-Chaumont is a beautiful park with 61 acres of lawns and grassy squares. It also has a large lake, suspension bridge, and quiet walking paths to enjoy. The name roughly translates to empty mountain. Before the 19th century, it was used to dispose of sewage and horse carcasses. More egregiously, it was known as the Gibbet de Montfaucon, where the bodies of executed prisoners were displayed for months to warn other residents to be lawful. Napoleon I renovated the city, created this huge park, built the man-made lake, and washed away its dark history. They also built a 65-foot-tall artificial waterfall, which is especially fun splashing in the summer heat. Walk to the suspension bridge for fantastic views of Montmartre. The park is located northeast of Paris and is free to enter. In summer, it is accessible 24/7. Number 14. Parc de la Villette. If you are a music or movie buff, this is the place to be. It is located near the Parc des Buttes-Chaumont in northeastern Paris and is home to several museums, stages, concert halls, and playgrounds for children. A music museum with a concert hall displays many historical musical instruments, and a 2,400-seat symphony hall, a 6,300-seat concert stage called Les Zénith, and many other spaces dedicated to music. One of the museums is the Site des Sciences et l'Industrie, the largest science museum in Europe. It also houses several cinemas, including an IMAX theater inside a 36-meter-wide dome. There is a small actors' theater that conducts workshops. One of the most impressive parts is the Grande Halle de la Villette, a historic glass and cast iron slaughterhouse that now hosts fairs, food festivals, and other cultural events. Number 15. Sacre Coeur Basilica. Work on this enormous pseudo-Romano-Byzantine building began in 1877. It was commissioned as a response to defeat in the Franco-Prussian War, the argument being that God had crossed paths with the French and needed appeasement, sharp. It was consecrated in 1914, almost half a century after being paid for with public money, by which time a group of architects had succeeded Paul Abadie, the winner of the original competition. The results are impressive, especially given its prominent location atop Montmartre and its interior covered in beautiful mosaics. Number 16. The Centre Pompidou. The Pompidou's inside-out appearance with pipes, air ducts, and escalators proudly adorning the outside has made it one of the most famous sights in Paris. It was so remarkable that when it opened in 1977, its success exceeded all expectations. It was a kind of problem, in essence, that there were 5 times more people than expected. In its early years. It was a byword for overcrowding. It was. After a 2-year renovation completed in 2000, the building was enlarged, adding a larger museum, new performance spaces, and the vista-rich George's restaurant. A ride on the exterior escalator to the top of the museum is free, as is entry to the forum. The permanent collection is a vibrant display of modern art. Number 17. Palais de Tokyo. When this modern and contemporary art building opened in 2002, many thought the Palais de Tokyo's nondescript aesthetic was a deliberate statement. Of course, it was just for budgetary reasons. Happily, the place has really flourished since then, especially after a lengthy 2012 renovation of its open-plan space. Long hours and a cool cafe bring in a younger audience, and the roll call of artists is impressive. Roberto Braga, Wang Du, Theaster Gates, and others. The name traces back to the 1937 Exposition Internationale, but is also a reminder of connections with a new generation of artists from the Far East. Number 18. Musée Carnavalet. At the Musée Carnavalet, recently reopened after a major renovation, -140 enormous rooms tell the story of Paris in chronological order from pre-Roman Gaul to the 20th century. The building was built in 1548, converted by Mansart in 1660, and turned into a museum in 1866, when the great city planner Haussmann convinced the authorities to preserve its beautiful interior. The original 16th century rooms contain an excellent collection of Renaissance art, with portraits, furniture, and other artifacts.